The Emancipation Proclamation, the document that we're taught in school, freed enslaved people, is not actually what you think it is. Because if Lincoln was this great emancipator, as we like to write him out in history, how come it took 2.5 years for people in Galveston, Texas to learn about their freedom? So why weren't all enslaved people freed by this proclamation? I'm the real Cameron E, and this is the real freedom story. In the last episode, we were exploring how America technically has 2 Independence Days, the 4th of July and Juneteenth. The 4th of July symbolizes America's independence, but Juneteenth represents delayed freedom for Black people in the United States. In 2016, I started going down this rabbit hole, and once I started questioning the 4th of July, I also started questioning the Emancipation Proclamation and the contributions of Lincoln that I were taught in school. The more I dug into it, the more I realized we've all been told this fairy tale about Abraham Lincoln. But the truth is way more complicated than that. And understanding that will help us understand why freedom is a constant struggle here in the United States. Before we go any further, drop a comment right now and let me know what you were taught about Abraham Lincoln in school. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the rest of the series. Let's start with who Abraham Lincoln actually was, because he's not who you may think he is. Unlike what your history books love to tell you, Abraham Lincoln was not a radical abolitionist, not like what we would know William Lloyd Garrison or Frederick Douglass to be. His position was a little bit more complicated when it came to the issue of slavery in the United States. Abraham Lincoln did believe that slavery was morally wrong, but he did not believe in immediate emancipation. He didn't think that free Black people should live in America. He had on numerous occasions tried to offer different ways that they could leave the United States. And he definitely did not think that Black people and white people were equal. During his 1858 debate with Stephen Douglas, he literally said that he believed that Black people were nowhere near equal to white people. So how come at the time the Republican Party opposed the issue of slavery? The United States at the time was starting to move into new territories, and they wanted to ensure that white workers had somewhere that they could work. Industrialization was also picking up at the time, and the Republican Party thought that that would make slave labor a little bit less necessary, in addition to slave labor being a competition for white working people. The Emancipation Proclamation would only come after Lincoln's inauguration, when the Confederate States decided to secede from the Union. And it only happened because of outside pressure from abolitionists, in addition to needing a military strategy against Confederate states. Lincoln's priority was not Black freedom. It was about keeping the Union together. He even said that if he could save the Union without freeing Black people, he would. Now that you have all of that context, let's get into what the Emancipation Proclamation did and did not do. The Emancipation Proclamation did not free all enslaved people. It only freed those in rebelling Confederate states. It also did not free everyone immediately. The Union would need to be able to enforce in those Confederate states this new proclamation. The proclamation also did not include any border states. That means that anyone that was enslaved in states like Delaware, Kentucky, Maryland, and Missouri were not freed in 1863 by the proclamation. They would have to wait until the ratification of the 13th Amendment. And the Emancipation Proclamation was not Lincoln's first choice. He actually thought it would be better to send free Black people to Africa or to Central America. What the Emancipation Proclamation did do, though, was free enslaved people in states where the Union could enforce it. It made slavery the moral issue of the Civil War. It allowed Black men to join the Union Army and fight for their freedom. And it set up what would then become the 13th Amendment. And here's what really gets me. The Emancipation Proclamation was originally drafted in 1862. But one of the reasons why Lincoln waited until January 1st, 1863 is because he thought he could use the freedom of enslaved Black people as a bargaining chip for Confederate states to rejoin the Union. And it should also be noted that yes, the Emancipation Proclamation had a lot of significance, but Black people were always fighting for their freedom when they hit these shores in 1619. The resistance was in song and dance and rebellions and running away and fighting through abolitionist movements. It wasn't the 1863 Emancipation Proclamation that started this chain of Black people wanting their freedom. They were always fighting for it, long before they even had the right to fight for it by joining the Union Army. Does it make sense now why Juneteenth matters even more? January 1st, 1863 is when the proclamation was signed, but it would take June 19th, 1865 for people to even learn about their freedom. So the delay was because of some of the places where the Emancipation Proclamation fell short. The fact that the Union wasn't in all of the Confederate states to enforce it, and because of the enslavers who decided to not let their people know about their freedom due to them being fearful of their profit. And this is America's pattern. 1776, America gains its independence, but you still have people in slavery and captivity. And in 1865, yes, freedom is announced, but it's not equally protected. And that battle continues even into 1965. Okay, now we have the right to vote, but those rights are still under attack to this day. So helping you understand this complexity is letting you understand that this is not just history, this is the current condition of freedom in the United States. And the same people that want to erase this real history are the same ones feeding you this fairy tale about who Lincoln was. And that helps us to not feel as if there are any complexities in our American freedom story. Racism did not just end with one piece of paper being signed. It never ends when one piece of paper is signed. But instead, the work of freedom is ongoing. Black people have always led the charge in their own liberation. And systems do not change just because laws do. So here's what I need you to do for watching this video today. Question who you have been taught to be your heroes. Because even when it comes to Abraham Lincoln, I hope you learned that not everything we were taught is what he actually did. Connect the dots. See how the delayed freedom history still affects us today. And defend the truth. Complexity is not division, it's accuracy. And make sure you hit that bell and that subscribe button, because we in episode 3 are going to discuss how Juneteenth's future matters more than ever. I'm the real Cameron E, in my educator activist era, turning history into action. Let me know in the comments, what's one thing you learned about the Emancipation Proclamation today that you didn't learn in school? And never forget, we ask real questions to get to real change. Thanks for watching.